Hey everyone, it's Amazing Fantasy Football. I am Josh, and that guy is
I'm Chris.
Chris. He is. And we're here to talk about some running backs. Our last episode, we did running backs 1 through 12. And today we're doing running backs 13 through 24, how they finished on this past 2020 season in the half PPR scoring format. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing wonderful. We got some playoff football on right now. So, yeah.
Way to date the episode.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sorry, y'all.
The game's not going so good either.
Yeah, correct.
Um, so yeah, we're here. Like I said, we're here to talk about some running backs. Let's start at the top. That you can join us at. We have set up a little community where we are about like not very many numbered strong, but we're hoping to get some people together that people can like kind of maybe start some leagues or like fill in that last one or two members of their league. Let's say you're one or two persons short. But you can join that, or you can join our Discord server by emailing us at amazingffb@gmail.com. That is amazingffb@gmail.com. And yeah, let's get this show on the road. How about that?
Let's do it. We
Um,
got a
we got
zinger
we
right off
got
the
some
bat.
we got some odd we got some odd names to talk about. Some names that would not have guessed to have made the top 24. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's
I was taken aback by, gosh, at least two or three names right off the top of my head.
yeah. Yeah. You want to start what you want to start this off? How about that?
Yeah, I'll do
I
I'll
like
do our
I like
first
that
guy
idea.
here.
Go.
At number 13, fantasy finish, we've got Antonio Gibson. I'm going to be high on this guy. Fair warning. Fun fact, you know who played at Memphis together?
Antonio Gibson and Bill Cosby.
Valiant effort. No, Tony Pollard. Spoiler alert,
Oh,
the next guy on our list.
oh,
Um, yeah, they played together.
I did not know that.
Yep, and they kind of remind me of not remind me. They show you what the prototype is nowadays for running back. Size and speed, hands, balance. Like he's just. I mean, granted, Gibson is the bigger of the two. I think Pollard's more like 6 foot 210. Gibson's got that by a bit, at least 6'2", I think. So bigger guy, and I was worried about his production on the ground. I knew he used to play receiver, so I felt good about him coming into that in that way. But I was worried
Mm-hmm.
about timeshare. Well, obviously he shattered a lot of that, at least the timeshare part of it. He didn't get a lot of reception work because of McKissick, is it? Yeah, it was there.
Yeah.
But kind of moving forward, he intrigues me because if he's given a decent quarterback, and I'm not even saying like a great quarterback. Like I don't think it's going to take a ton for him to kind of flourish more. A full off season, maybe a healthy head coach, because if you recall, Ron Rivera was diagnosed with I forget which type of cancer, but cancer, colon maybe, I don't recall.
The
Uh,
cancer type of cancer.
yeah, exactly. He seems to be recovering well, so for his family and his own health, we hope so. But also, he's a good coach, and if he could kind of be in the building, sans pandemic, sans fighting cancer, this kid could benefit from having a coach like that around. And I like this team in terms of a great defense and a good enough offense to get this guy the ball more and remain healthy, hopefully.
Cool. I here's a couple of things I want to highlight here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you still have the slide up here? Yes, you
I
do.
do, yeah, yeah. I was sticking on that
Sorry,
for a
I
minute.
was I was looking at something, but 11 touchdowns, 11 rushing
Mm-hmm.
touchdowns. That's great, man. That's that's what you want to see. I would like to see a little more attempts. Hopefully, who was it? Peyton Barber. Hopefully, Peyton Barber gets out of the way. I don't know why teams just keep this guy around. He's kind of a joker. Um,
A jag, just a guy.
exactly, man. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
11 touchdowns. That's good. I think next year those receiving numbers will go up a little bit more. I mean, heck, even if they brought in just like a bigger bat, like let me rephrase that,
A finisher type of
more of
goal
a
line.
thumper,
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
Um, I would be happy if his receptions went up, those attempts stayed the
Absolutely.
same, but the number of targets and receptions went up and maybe got some receiving touchdowns in there too. So I'm with you, man. The grass is greener on the other side for Antonio Gibson next season. Not that it was a terrible season, but it was
Yeah.
like we talked about last
Hmm.
episode, is that the rookie running backs had all, for the most part, except outside of James Robinson, they all kind of started slow this year.
Yep. Yep. I was worried. I was a little
And
worried. To go along
so
with that, he was 48th by PFF ranking. You know, the overall, if you will, at his position.
yeah,
But seventh in the running part of the ranking. Does that make sense? Which,
yeah.
yeah, he used to play receiver, but again, he didn't get the receiving work. So he finished 13th, got hurt, what, a game or two off the top of my head,
I
and
don't
still
remember.
finished 13th. Like, he gets just a little more receiving work and completes a 16 game season. I mean, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, sometimes when it comes to like the PFF ranks, especially
For
what I
sure.
found with like some of the running
We
backs, I
should
was like,
probably
I
mention
don't
that.
know
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah. And they've got
'Cause-
how they go about it, folks. So take it with a grain of salt as far as it's a tool. You know, it's a tool like
Yeah,
any other tool.
I mean, when you got Damian Harris listed as the second best running back, that's not a thing. Gus Edwards is number 5.
Hmm.
Uh, Alexander Madison is
Yeah,
above
yeah, I saw that too. I was like, well,
is above Antonio Gibson.
I will say that those names you mentioned are,
Samaje Perine is in the top 20.
yeah, that's weird. Efficiency. I think they must put a premium on efficiency because these are backups. These are lower attempt
Yeah.
guys. You know,
Well, a lot of
yeah,
this is based on blocking too. Run
hmm,
blocking, pass blocking, like
yeah,
I don't even know why run blocking is in there because they're running backs. I just whatever. Anyways, so Gibson, we like Antonio Gibson moving forward for next year.
absolutely.
It just I gotta admit, I gotta be completely honest. I wasn't really sure about him this year. I was like, I don't think so.
Me
And I
too.
avoided him because I was just
Me,
like,
me
the
too.
guy's never really been a quote unquote running back, like full
Well,
time running back.
that too. And situation is king. And I thought because of those reasons, he wouldn't be the guy. Or if he was the guy, his percentage wouldn't be high enough for me to warrant the hype that we
Right.
had heard on him. So I kind of missed on him.
Let's remember too that like when we were doing drafts, Adrian Peterson had
Oh,
was just was either about to be cut
yep,
by the
yep.
Washington football team or had
That was
just been
that was
done
that was
so.
the
But they
hype. You're
also
right.
had signed Peyton Barber too. So
It
it
was
was this
confusing.
weird, like it was a giant question mark of what the
Yep,
heck was going on in
and it was enough
Washington
to
there,
to
their
to make it
RBs.
hands off for me. Yep. So we both kind of missed there, but it's understandable. Yeah.
I mean, but we didn't really miss we were
At the
sort of
beginning,
right for half the season.
yeah,
So
I was kind of like, haha, I told y'all. And then I was like,
I
okay,
probably
he's
avoid
good.
that a lot too. Let's move on to number 14, like you had
Alluded to,
alluded to.
not alluded to, like you said last show. Straight up, told you who the next one was. Yeah, this is another guy we kind of went ahead and assigned to me to
Okay, and the rule about talking about Tony Pollard is you can't talk about Zeke at all.
right. We kind of messed that. We messed the opposite of that rule up in the first show. Anyway,
Yeah.
another guy I'm going to be high on, quite frankly. Kellen Moore is getting looks for head coaching positions. Whether you agree with it or not is irrelevant because it obviously means teams are interested in his scheme and how he does things. To that point, I have no idea what's
But
going to happen.
those are colleges, not
No,
pro.
one of them was the. Now I'm going to forget the pro team. No, it was
No.
an NFL team for head
No.
coaching position. Interviewed him. Now he probably won't get it, but it's something to keep in mind in terms of keep an eye on a fantasy relevant offense. Again, in the same vein as Gibson, he has size, speed, and hands, and I think he could be a value coming up in this fantasy draft. He's 14th ranked by PFF in the running rating. That's 34th overall. I think he was better than Zeke. Probably not surprised with that. I mean, we're talking about what was Zeke 12th and 2 spots below Tony Pollard. However, we mentioned this in the beginning of the previous running back show. This does include special teams yards, meaning fantasy credit for special teams yards. So it's a decent chuck and change for Pollard, but I think you also saw him have a couple of big boom games on the ground and through the air. So we can expect to see more of that, in my opinion, but I mentioned this in the previous show also. I would like to keep a close eye on the Dallas offseason generally speaking. Draft,
offensive
free
line,
agency, and just roll.
how they lose Dak to the Colts, you know,
Right,
that sort of
right.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. And hey, having said all that, now picture this kid playing with a healthy Dak all year long. Just all I'm saying.
You mean a healthy whoever they draft in the draft?
No, no, I mean what I say.
Mm,
I
I
should have got off
don't
the
think
slide.
so.
Sorry. I was having fun looking at Pollard running there. Interestingly enough, he was better on the ground than he was through the air. I think he might be another example of a guy who played receiver. I know he is. Yeah, he moved back and forth. Anyway, he was a receiver at Memphis for some time. So
Cool. Sounds like Memphis is having an identity problem with their running backs.
they put out a few good ones in the
Um,
past too, though. D'Angelo Williams comes to mind.
oh,
Yep.
all right then. I got to be completely honest with you here, Chris.
Uh huh.
I think you kind of nailed Tony Pollard on the head. I don't got much else to say.
Nice. I did my job then.
Yep. Cool. Good job. Let's move on to the third running back we will be talking about today. He finished this season as number 15. This does come with a caveat of he had 412 return yards.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that? I kind of just threw them in there and everything. And what is your stance on using special teams points in fantasy football?
Mm-hmm. Well, since we're getting into the kind of there's two in a row, kind of the meat of that area where we said they would be popping up, I think it's just another wrinkle like PPR, and the more I
Yeah,
guess
okay.
stats you can throw into it, the more fun. I'd hate for it to be a hindrance, so I do try to remember to keep in the leagues that I'm in and the leagues that I commission to keep an eye on that to make sure I'm not overvaluing it. But it's a standard across the board. I think in the past, kickoff yards concerned me more because players tended to get more. But the way they've brought the kickoff point up in the past few
Mhm.
years, it's almost always a touchback. I feel and it's the punt return
Well,
and it's the punt returners that bring a bit of
right.
production. So
That's
that's how
true.
I feel.
I don't know. I haven't played in fantasy football on ESPN in, a queen's
Yeah.
age, but
Mm-hmm.
ESPN, you could, so the way I had it set in that one league, it was a point for every 25 return yards for kickoffs because you were just constantly racking them up. And
Because
then
you
it was
could
every
do that in
10.
that league. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it
Mm-hmm.
was every 10 for punt returns.
I like
But
that.
Yahoo is just across the board 10 points
I
regardless,
think
or
it's 10 or
1 point per 10 yards.
yeah, or zero. I think that's the only option. I don't even know if there's a 25-yard option at all.
No, you can change the yardage for however many
So
points.
it's
So,
either
like, you could
or for both
yeah, so
kicks and
you
punts,
could
though.
change it to, like, 20 every 25 yards, you get a
You
point.
could. So you could nerf it some. So that's important to keep in mind, folks. On this particular website, on Yahoo, you can nerf it, but
Yeah.
you can't do it on either or. It has to be.
Boy, Yahoo sure has its problems, but not like I
But
mean,
yeah,
ESPN's a
I'm
fine
still
platform,
yeah, I'm
but
still sticking with them.
ESPN it's great for people dipping their toes into fantasy football.
That's fine. Yep.
And yeah,
Otherwise,
and Yahoo is too, but I mean, ESPN is just like it's just really streamlined for like
I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
Yahoo's
I'm
worked
trying
on
not to
their
insult anyone who uses Yahoo or ESPN, but I just feel like
yeah. I feel like
you can.
Yahoo's worked on their platform or their engine more, and they've had it a
Mhm.
little longer. And ESPN might have gone through a big makeover a couple years ago, and it was for the worse.
Oh,
Anyway,
really?
yeah, it
Like
seems
I
like
said,
it.
it's
That's the
been
feel I get.
oh boy, it's been at least 6 years
Well,
for
I played
sure.
in it this year and I hated it. It was awful.
Yeah, you were telling me that there was like a minute long ad to access your fantasy team, which is why I hated the NFL Network's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, fantasy football. So, because I'm like, I shouldn't be watching a 1 minute ad to access my fantasy team because I do this like 20
A
times a
lot.
day,
Yeah.
depending on the day.
Yeah. The other
And
ads you
like,
have on there should be enough.
yeah, like if you want to put an ad at the top or something, like as like a banner, fine. I get it. I don't know. It's getting to the point where I almost I just pay to be in a site that just doesn't have ads because.
It's worth the
Anyways,
extra buck or two.
let's move on to our what is it? Third guy?
Where were we?
We're on
Did we
Chase
finish up
Edmonds. My bad.
Edmonds? Did we finish
Sorry.
up Edmonds?
No, not at all.
Gotcha. No big deal.
So I know you really like Chase Edmonds, but when he was really given the opportunity, when Drake missed a couple of games, actually, I'm sorry, Kenyon Drake only missed 1 game.
I
Chase
think
Edmonds
that's
did
right.
not step up to the plate. Seems to be more better as just a guy. to spell the main guy, but unfortunately, Kenyon Drake is probably not that main guy.
Hmm.
Um, I would like to say that too that Chase Edmonds does finish higher than Kenyon Drake, but that's only because of those return yards.
Fair.
I mean,
Yep.
if you look at it, 448 rushing yards and one touchdown, four receiving touchdowns on 53 receptions. Like he didn't even top 900 scrimmage yards. So
Yep.
and with only five touchdowns, it's definitely those return yards that kind of bumps him over Drake. But neither one of these guys are really that great this season.
I think that's where in the crux of it lies. But go ahead.
What I was gonna say is I was kind of hoping that this offseason the Cardinals maybe try and fix their offensive line a little bit. I
Hmm.
think
That would help
it's I
everybody.
think it's getting a little bit it's aging a little bit, and it wasn't really all that great to begin with this season.
Hmm.
And get a better back than Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake is I think he's a good enough back.
Hmm.
And to kind of steal your term from last episode, he's like David Montgomery on I have changed it to my own. He's like David Montgomery on like a juiced up David Montgomery.
Yeah,
He's just
not like gamma rays juiced up, but like just run of the mill, or steroids or whatever.
like he took like a few extra vitamin pills that morning or something like every
Oh, okay,
morning.
okay, okay. I
Yeah, like it
got you.
ain't that much better.
I got you. I got you. My bad.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, this it's kind of the crux of, I don't know, maybe it's just a preference who you think the more talented guy is, in a manner of speaking. What I mean by that is you're absolutely right. I think they're both role players. However, I think Edmonds, you could kind of flip flop the roles. I think Edmonds would be better suited in this 3-4 wide receiver set, this hurry up offense. You got to remember that. Like, he's the one who kind of is on the field, sometimes gets stuck on the field. But the prevailing logic is Drake is the better runner, Edmonds is the better receiver, and that bared out, and that's fine. But Edmonds is very efficient. No, he didn't crush 1,000 scrimmage yards, but I can see that going up. Now, the wild card is, like you touched on already. We see a guy come in, and I think you could absolutely see a guy that come in that's more talented than both of these guys. Even though I'm an Edmonds believer, I have to admit, my how do you want to put it? My arrow's not pointing down or up like it was. It was pointing up, and now my arrow's just kind of like, ugh. Let's see about Edmonds. He kind of disappointed me. He was
Yeah,
41st overall at his position, PFF ranking, 8th in the receiving ranking for running backs. So again, it bore out
he's good.
in.
He's good at that. Yeah.
He is, he is. So that's, hey, we're up mostly in PPRs. So I think that's why he gets the nod here in the finish, and he'll get the nod in my rankings. But we'll have to see what happens with this backfield.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely something to watch in the off season because I don't think they're gonna stick with Drake. I really
Wouldn't surprise me if we saw, yeah,
and
a,
and I'm
a
calling that
better
just a
guy.
hunch. Like I know nothing. I've heard nothing.
Right, right, right. We're in the business
Call it
of
a hunch. I don't
speculation.
think they're
Yeah.
sticking with Drake,
Hmm.
especially for another $8 million when they could draft a
But
rookie out of
he
they
really
could
helped them
draft a
last
rookie out
year.
of
Uh huh.
Joe Small School and
Right.
probably get a little bit better production than him.
Yeah.
So
But he was a saving grace for him last year. Drake was, that is. So whatever, for
in
whatever that's worth.
2019, yep,
2019. Yeah.
and that was it.
That was it. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, let's move on to number 16 here, which is Melvin Gordon. I got a confession to make, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm over Melvin Gordon.
Oh, are you? Oh, I didn't know that's where you were going. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, it's 1,000 scrimmage yards, 32 receptions. I don't know what to make of this Denver team first and foremost.
Yep.
Like Drew Lock looked terrible, and you can argue that at times he was really dealing with a banged up wide receiver core or Captain Dropsy himself, Jerry Judy.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, he was struggling pretty much most of the season, and it was after there was some um at least John Elway had some real high hopes for him that's why they went out and got Judy and they just I don't know. He's just Drew Lock's not the answer. Melvin Gordon really looked like he lost a step. I mean,
For
there
sure.
was one game, I forget who it was against, but like the offensive line did its job. The seas parted and Melvin Gordon ran through it, and I was like, "Oh, there, watch him go!" And then like a
And then the
defensive
hole
lineman
closed
caught
and
up with
somebody
him.
grabbed him by the ankle.
Yeah, someone like I think it was a defensive lineman caught up to him. I was like, "Never mind, he's not that fast."
Mhm, mhm. I
Uh,
don't think he could have. Yeah, no, he was in a position where I don't think he could stand to lose very many steps on his
no, not at all.
speed.
I mean, yeah, he had some good burst and he had power and
Hmm.
maybe top end speed. Like if you gave him a runway, he was fast, but you don't. Yeah, I don't think he's. I think his top end speed has really came down, and I don't know if he quite has the burst that he used to. So
I'm there with you.
I just like I said, pairing this with a mediocre at best quarterback is just not a really good recipe. And Philip Lindsay is an unrestricted free or a restricted. I can't remember. He's either a restricted or an unrestricted free agent this season too.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
I don't think that they get rid of Lindsay, but yeah, I don't know. What's weird? I still think it's weird that Melvin Gordon is a better pass catcher than Philip Lindsay.
Yeah, just because of Philip
Sorry.
Lindsay's frame. Yeah, it kind of. Yeah, he and it kind of was like that in school. I think. I think he was really, really big on the ground. Like Lindsay
Who?
just broke Lindsay in college.
No.
It was against inferior competition. Let's be fair. He was a smaller
They
guy in a smaller school.
Colorado State, is that it?
I think that is right. That's not the smallest. I'm sorry. That's, I mean, it's still 1A, right? Anyway,
I think so.
but undersized guy. Yeah.
They're
And
probably
Gordon,
in
as we saw on
the.
on the slide, he had a pretty darn good receiving year for him. But look at the yards. That's awful.
I think those receptions
Quarterbacks.
pairing with I think those receptions for Melvin Gordon pairing with that 158 yards is maybe a bit of a sign of that he doesn't quite have that burst that he used to.
Yep. And scary thing is
And
you could see that receiving work go down because, quite frankly, yes, I understand he's probably the better pass catcher, but they still would throw to Lindsey. Like if Lindsey were healthy all year, you know, you'd probably see a little less receiving work for Gordon.
what
He
I was
take
going to say was
Go ahead.
Melvin Gordon is facing a suspension next season too
The first week.
because of his DUI.
Yep.
No, it's undecided yet, but
Oh,
it'll be at least one game, if not probably two.
well, I guess I thought he was. I remember there being a player that served a couple games at the end of this year and still has
That
one
was
left.
that's Will Fuller.
Thank you. Forgot.
Let's move on to Kenyon Drake. We've already kind of touched on him,
Yeah, I was
but
just gonna say we probably don't need to dwell too long.
no, but I mean, he did score 10 touchdowns, so
Hmm.
that's great. Um, I mean, really, if you look at the points, it's they're separated. Chase Edmonds and Kenyon Drake separated by 4 points. So yeah, that's definitely the return yards there. I mean, you can just look at the stat lines too. It's just I was kind of in on Kenyon Drake. I'm not gonna lie. Preseason, I was kind of
Okay.
like, yeah, if you ended up with Drake as your RB2, like I'd be pretty happy with that. And I don't know, man. Yeah, he missed a game, but I think overall, I think a lot of people were just unhappy with Kenyon Drake. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. He
what
was
was it?
underwhelming for sure.
I mean, it's like 12 points per game.
Hmm.
Something like that. That's just rough math there. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. Well, we had
guesstimating.
Kyler was hurt too for a stretch.
Yeah,
So that buoys the offense down. Buoys down. I don't think that works. You know what I mean?
I
Brings
don't
the
think so.
sinks
Buoys usually
down.
go up. They float.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's
So
like that buoy's fired if it's sinking.
right, exactly. You're an awful buoy. And Kenny Drake is an awful running back. Good night, everybody. No, I don't know. I'm underwhelmed by Ken Drake. Always have been. He was from that same kind of group that spent time at Alabama and Tennessee, and obviously we
Mhm.
all know who the better one was there. That's Kamara. Um, I don't know. He's kind of okay. I think in an offense like Arizona, we can see an improvement across the board, even though they were pretty darn good. A couple more passing touchdowns for Kyler. Maybe get a better running back in there, or maybe things flip flop 60% in favor of Edmonds and he produces, although you don't think he will. We could see some, I just think we could see better production from the running back position in Arizona, given the amount of volume we should see. I'm
Yeah, some of
still
that, like I said, some of it could
on that.
just be to beef up the offensive line too. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If we see big draft pick or a big free agency signing, a tackle or guard or something along those lines, center. Yeah, man, I'm all aboard this offense. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know where they're at with salary cap wise because
I couldn't tell
I
you.
mean they have Hopkins. They have to be looking at. I mean, if they think Kyler Murray is their quarterback,
They need to
they
make
have
some
him.
room.
They have him for cheap for
Yeah,
about
because
2 more years.
he'll be the played. I can't talk. Highest paid player in the NFL. He will be. Like it's just a matter of 2 years or something.
What a mistake. Anyways,
I'm just telling you, it's gonna happen.
I,
And I'd want
I'm
him
just saying
playing for
it's a
my team. I'll
mistake.
just put it that way.
All
There
right,
we
let's move on to Mike Davis, who ends up as the number 18 RB on the season. I really should have wrote down some stuff on Mike Davis because I mean Christian McCaffrey went down in week
Mhm.
after right after well, right at the end of week one. It was a shame. Um I mean week two, man, like I went out and got Christian McCaffrey everywhere that or Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, I went out
He
and
was
picked up
on
Christian
waivers.
McCaffrey off the
Holy
waiver wire.
cow!
I picked up Mike Davis everywhere that I could. Um, I think I managed to do it in a couple different leagues. I won it one in the one league. I was the Christian McCaffrey manager, so it really worked out at first. It like this Mike Davis was shot out of a cannon. You're just like, whoa.
hmm
Like I didn't think this guy was this good. I just figured that it was going to be like I was kind of just grasping at straws after losing CMC,
For sure.
and I was like, whoa, this guy's really good, and it's just like a cannonball, like, he had a lot of velocity at first, but then he really just slowed down and hit the ground and just went and just kinda dug in and just he ended up as Mike Davis by the end of the season. He started out with Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey, spread some little,
I,
some magic CMC dust over him, and it worked for a while, and then
hmm
Mike Davis took a shower, and then he turned back into Mike Davis. Um, he's just not that great.
Nope, nope. I think there's a reason has been a backup his pretty much his whole career. I will give him
Yeah.
credit when he's gotten an opportunity, he has shined, but you can see it right in the middle of his stat line there. 70 targets. I mean, you get that, and then you still only put up 373 yards. And
Yeah, dude.
they were a bad team. Again, that'll be a theme with a lot of these were bad
Mhm.
players. But also 165 attempts on the ground for 642. Like, he's a little bit of a
That's the
bigger
number that
guy.
really shocked me is that
Exactly.
there wasn't more yeah,
Production
they
there.
were playing
Yeah.
from behind at times. It just it really blew me away, man.
It's pitiful. It does
I
not look
was
good. It's an odd looking stat
like,
line.
"Whoa."
So,
I thought he ran the ball a lot more.
yeah. So, but at the end of the day,
Doesn't
he had fresh
yeah, I
legs.
mean, I mean, if Carolina was smart,
Hello?
right. I mean, I feel like if Carolina was
hmm
smart, then
hmm
they would keep what?
You're good. Continue.
Oh, yeah, if Carolina was smart, they would keep him around, and he would be a great compliment to just kinda spell Christian McCaffrey every once in a while.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
so okay, my bad. In week 2, he wasn't that great. It was 11.5 points, but then in, like, weeks 3, 4, 5, all over 19 points or more,
Yeah, but I feel
and
like
then
even that
after
11 and a
that
half points was still really good work. Like he got a good amount of
yeah,
carries and a good amount of targets. He just didn't have a great day.
and then after that, it was just I mean, it's 10.5 points or less
Mm.
until you and
And
with a
that was
couple of good
and that
games
was
scattered in there.
with the receptions floor.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
did it.
yeah, like I said, it was a lot of people will remember Mike Davis for what he started out as, and I think they'll forget about what
Yeah,
he did in the middle.
yeah. This was not a 1-for-1 with Christian McCaffrey or even a 1 for 0.5.
No,
Like he ended up not being all that great. I mean, we're talking about him at number 18 here, folks. So yeah, but a good veteran, good role player, good backup. He had fresh legs, hit the ground running, like you said, shot out of a cannon, but sputtered out.
here's part of it too is that it was against the Chargers, the Cardinals, and the Falcons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's enough about Mike Davis. Like I said, I'd love for him to stay in Carolina and just maybe take like 15% of CMC's workload, just
Yeah, for sure.
you don't need to trump like, roll him out there every single play. Like last year in 2019, by last year I mean last NFL season. Um Chris McCaffrey was on the field for like 95% of the plays. Like that's like quarterback level of involvement. You
Mhm.
never see that out of a running back
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah. They need to give that
He
kid a
was
rest.
I think he had more snaps, more snap percentages than even Derrick Henry in 2019.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Anyways, let's move on to our number 19 running back for 2020, and that would be Ronald Jones. This is another name that surprised me, considering, man, it was a real crapshoot on guessing which running back was going to
Yeah.
play for the Bucs that
Mhm.
in any given week. And I have a weird feeling that maybe some days like Bruce Arians didn't even know like Saturday night who was going to start on Sunday. You know, it's just like he woke up one morning and he's like,
Mhm.
Fournette, Leonard Fournette it is today.
Yeah.
And they're like, and everyone's like, really, coach? And they're like, yeah, I'm the coach. So this is who we're rolling with. And Ronald Jones is like, all right, thanks.
Okay. Clearly a
Thank
more
you.
talented guy.
Yeah, yeah. Leonard Fournette is
Mm. Yeah, he's
he's slow, man. He surprisingly can catch the ball rather well, actually.
yeah, again, another veteran I think that settled
But
nicely into a role.
but he's not quick. So when he catches the ball, he like it's like he's running through mud.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
You know, it's just
bigger guy bound to slow down, I guess. And it
I
I
don't
think
really think he was ever that fast to begin with.
well, I think at his physical peak, he was something to be reckoned with, but his ankles was a big thing with him and that dates back to college.
And knee too, like one of his knees was kind of
Not
bad, I do
surprised.
believe.
Yeah, lower body, big guy. So, and to be fair, I think maybe he knew at a certain point, hey, I'm only going to have a certain career. Well, maybe I can have a longer career if I accept a role because clearly I've lost. I can't be what I used to be.
Hey,
And
Leonard Fournette, you can have a longer career if you're not a jerk in the locker room too.
well, that too. Yeah, wasn't even going there, but that's a good point.
So, you know, I don't know. What else do we want to talk about? I don't even know if Ronald Jones is like the quote unquote guy in Tampa Bay next season either. You know, like I could easily
Yeah.
see a world where they
Hmm.
either A, pick up a different running back on the cheap, or B, just go out and spend like a third round pick on a guy, you know?
Hmm. Hmm. I
I
think
don't I
it's.
don't I
I
don't
think
know how this draft class is gonna shape up as far as running backs. I know there's a couple that are pretty
mhm.
darn good, but
I
other than
think we're
that,
just in that territory of running back where it goes back to I forget which player we were on. Oh, Robinson, you were convinced he would leave, and I can't blame you. But we start getting, and that was earlier in in the previous show. But we start getting now into this territory where it's like a lot of these guys are, yeah, they might be somewhat talented, but they're also expendable in a manner of speaking, like contract.
if I believe that it was okay, so, like, we were talking about with James Robinson last episode,
Hmm.
that, he just got done with his rookie season. Ronald Jones is getting done with
Right.
his
Important
3rd
distinction. That's
season.
a good point. That's a good point. So maybe I was
So,
reaching
yes, they
straws there.
easily could move on from Ronald Jones.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's not a big.
They've seen enough they've seen enough this season, and with the 2 season-ending injuries before this season, it's
Oh,
just
that's right. Yeah.
that yeah, that's what happened.
To
He's
be
barely
fair,
played
he
until this
proved
year.
pretty durable this year. So, but
Yeah.
you're right. I'd forgotten about that. Exactly. He's a perfect example of a guy I mean, you can remake your whole backfield in an off season in the NFL and get better
Oh,
production.
easily, yeah.
It's not hard to do. Now, we're not talking about the Henrys and the Camaras. We're not talking necessarily about James Robinson. We're talking about the Kenyon Drakes and the Ronald Joneses. It's or the oh God forbid the Fournettes. Yeah, you can get somebody better in there that's
Oh,
younger with
boy.
fresh legs. So that's all. The only point I'm trying to make with some of these guys, and you are too, is that we'll
I
have to
just had
see
a bigger
next year.
thought.
What's that?
I could see Kenyon Drake because Tom Brady's there, I could see Kenyon Drake coming f on the cheap to the Bucks
Yeah,
this
yeah.
offseason.
Depends on that number, absolutely. And like I said, these guys will move around a little bit. You don't have to be in the. It's not like being in the quarterback room all off season. You don't have to. It's kind of plug and play, I guess is what I'm saying. And if you can get a young guy with fresh legs, do it.
Yeah. I feel like and having been someone who's never really played football, like organized football, let's put it that way. I feel like running backs are more weight room and conditioning, and quarterbacks are more film
Cerebral.
room. Well, no, like in the off season, they just spend like the good
Uh,
ones. Like Peyton Manning would spend the off season just watching film, like
mhm.
all off season. He was almost He was almost a man obsessed with
and the
game
running
development.
back's trying to put on body armor. You know, he's trying to build up muscle
Yep.
and
Well, that
while maintaining
or
speed.
stay in peak condition,
Yep.
you know?
To last through the car wreck that is a
Oh,
NFL
man.
season at running back. I mean, you got to give
Yeah,
them.
these guys don't get paid enough
Yeah, and it's all
just
ties
because of
into
what
what we're
they do.
talking about. Just you got to replenish the tank at that position.
Yep, yep. Alright, well, I mean, Ronald Jones, you kinda gave us what we expected, sort of, as far as,
Hmm.
like, by the end of the season, it's like, "Okay, that's not bad, over 1,000 scrimmage yards, 8 touchdowns, not bad, not bad," but, yeah, it just how it came around was just like he's in the game, he's in one game, he's out the next, he's in
Yep.
half a game, it's just that bouncing around. They were trying out, LaShawn McCoy, there for a little
Hmm.
bit too. That was just and speaking of shady, dude, just retire, man, please. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. Yep.
Just call it a day, man.
Yeah.
You've
He's
had a
just.
really good career. You never won a Super Bowl.
There's
Well,
a lot of great players who didn't.
does he get a ring with the for being with the Chiefs last season, even though he was inactive for the game?
I think so because I think if you're on the,
Man, that's a big asterisk right there for his
I
career.
don't think the practice
Um,
squad does, but I think the 53 does, and technically the 53 is, you take
well,
40 something to game day,
it
so he was non-active. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess is my answer. Anyway,
yeah, yeah, Shady man, just like you're a Hall of Fame running back, or at least should be. Don't just stop embarrassing yourself, man. Please, pretty please. Like Jerry Rice, like when he was with the Raiders. Like, come on, man. Or the
to be,
Seahawks.
I was about to say Seahawks. To be fair with Raiders, didn't they go to another Super Bowl or something? And he had like probably a Pro Bowl season or two.
No, no, I don't think so.
Rice was pretty good with the Raiders.
Oh, was he? I guess
Rice
I'm
and
thinking of Seahawks
Rice
then.
and Tim Brown and Rich Gannon.
I think he went back to the Raiders. He left and then went back.
Oh, you might have a point there. Yeah,
Anyways, we're
I
not
think
talking
it's
about Jerry Rice.
Rice. Is he
What
on
who
the
we are
list?
talking
Here's
about
his slide right here, sir. No, I'm just
who
kidding.
we are talking about is our number 20 on the season running back, Chris Carson. Why don't you talk about Chris Carson? Because I feel like you like him more than I do.
I do. I do. I have. Might be more correct, but let's dig into that a little bit, I suppose. As the graphic shows, 682 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. I feel like 5 touchdowns is on the low end, but we also saw Russell Wilson cook, as we mentioned,
He also missed a bunch of games this year too.
exactly. A guy who's tough as nails has showed us better durability in the past, almost flawless durability in the past, to be quite frank. That's
Oh yeah.
starting to pile up. But then again, Seattle's put
Not at
quite.
all.
What's that? Oh,
Chris Carson has missed time in like every season that he's played in.
oh, has he? Okay. It seemed like the first year or two he
Yeah.
was very reliable.
This is only like his third year.
I guess maybe it's the playing through injuries that gave me that notion that he's a tough guy.
Okay.
He runs hard. We know that.
He missed
Uh,
4 games
4 games, yeah.
this year. Yep.
And you can see it in his numbers. And I think even with those 4 games, yeah, I don't think he's what he used to be. And he's another example of I don't want to say a flash in the pan because that's such a negative connotation, but just a guy that might need fresh legs. Maybe he'll get some rest in one form or another. Maybe Rashad Penny comes back and takes a 60-40 over Carson's 40. I don't know. It's hard to say, but at the end of the day,
You're funny.
Seattle will run the ball. You want a piece of that offense. They do like to feature a guy, but Carson would have to show me something in the off season, preseason, beginning of the season that tells me that he's back to what he was, because health is starting to become a concern, and explosiveness, and that goes along with his role. If they diminish his role, I'm out, I think. But I do still kind of like the guy. I do think he's talented. I think he's tough, but I'm not very optimistic. We'll put it that way. Where are you at?
Who's our next guy up here? Our next guy is DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
Our next guy is DeAndre Swift. This is one of those running backs that falls into that category of had a slow start.
Yeah. Yeah. And injuries.
I thought when I was looking into he did miss a few games.
Mhm.
I thought when I was looking into DeAndre Swift that AP started out as the kind of primary back, but not really. DeAndre Swift, for the most part, outsnapped AP. I mean, it was like a three-way timeshare between DeAndre Swift, Adrian Peterson, and to a much lesser extent, but still involved, Kerryon Johnson.
Sure.
Um,
Carry on got an
it
uncomfortable amount of work, in my opinion.
I think that AP got an uncomfortable amount of work.
That too.
Um,
But yeah.
but towards the end of the season, DeAndre Swift started doing good. He was only averaging, like, his last 4 weeks, like Jonathan Taylor, like David Montgomery.
Mhm.
Um, and he was only averaging, like, 12 points in those weeks, though, too, but that was also with, you know, Adrian Peterson, popping his head up and getting some carries, and Kerryon Johnson getting some work. I think they still want to use like, a couple of different backs in Detroit. It'll kind of we'll see what their new head coach comes out to be, like, who it is, and B, what their personal philosophy is.
Mhm.
I don't know if Adrian Peterson's gonna be around next season for the Lions. Um,
Doubt it.
Perhaps he'll play for the Packers, and then he'll have completed his circuit of the NFC North. Who knows?
Did he play for
Uh,
Chicago? Oh, yeah, he did, didn't he? Did he? Didn't play for Chicago?
no, he didn't, my bad.
You had
It
me for a
seems like
second.
dude, he's Adrian Peterson's on team number 6, I believe.
Yeah, it's getting crazy. Speaking
Yeah.
of retiring, but he's been more productive than Shady. But anyway.
Yeah, and I think Shady's actually older than him too. So,
Mm,
maybe by a year or so, and Shady had a lot of wear on his tires.
he
He
did.
was
Yep.
more or less healthy his entire career, whereas Adrian Peterson had a suspension, had,
ACL,
at least 1
full
season-ending
season.
injury,
Yep. At least one.
if
Or
not 2. I don't remember.
I
Oh,
don't
he
either.
had 1 towards the end of 1 season and another, like, towards the beginning, I believe. Anyways,
Feels right.
um, yeah, so, yeah, AP's got a little less wear on his tires, and AP also doesn't really catch the ball. So and Shady did that, so, Anyways, we're talking about DeAndre Swift here. I
We are.
really like DeAndre Swift moving forward. If the Lions keep Matt Stafford, if they maybe beef up their offensive line a little bit, I could see DeAndre Swift, being A-okay. Like, I really liked him coming out of Georgia this season. I wasn't exactly happy to see him go to the Lions, but when it's all said and done, mm, almost 900 scrimmage yards, and after that's being in a timeshare, 10 total
And it.
touchdowns. Like there. I
Yeah,
mean, there's a bright future there for him.
absolutely. You love the
Um,
57 targets. You love the 8 touchdowns on the ground. Yeah.
yeah, he's a smaller back. He's not gonna maybe get you your third and short or like first and goal sort of touchdown, but hey, isn't that why we have on Johnson?
Exactly. Isn't that why we have the guy on the practice squad to fall forward into the end zone? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. That big giant thumper of a man or something.
Mhm.
I don't know. I really like DeAndre Swift. Well, I would love to see what his ADP is going to be next year. Let me do a quick check here. Maybe I have a. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, I
Hmm.
got it. His ADP last season was 7.2, so or 72nd, and that's like the back half of round
S-
7. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, I could see him jumping up to
Oh, for sure.
round
Fourth round.
4, maybe,
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's a good fourth
and
round
I'd be
pick.
down with that. Like, I don't that would be, like, perfect spot for a nice RB3 with a definite RB2 upside.
Yeah. I mean, he'd have
How
to
do
be
you feel about
your.
that statement?
You'd have to go heavy RB for him to be your RB3. I guess is what I'd say first. But no, I
That's
love the guy.
usually my strategy, but yeah, not
Yeah.
always. It kinda
Uh,
depends on how the draft goes
yeah.
and
I don't think
who my
Swift will
receiver
drop
that I
that
end up with.
far. I think I'm high on him also, and I think others might be. I think I'd like. They don't have a true head coach yet, do they? Is it still an
No.
interim guy? Okay, so I'd like to see that come to fruition, see what's going on with play calling kind of thing. But
Yeah, for
no,
sure.
he's going to be leapfrogging guys that we've been talking about, like Carson, Jones, Davis. I'm not going to put him up there with Gibson, but yeah, I think DeAndre Swift is a shoe in for an RB2, if not better.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at this list, I can easily see him make it into the 3rd round because
Hmm.
I don't think any. I don't. I think he'll go above Melvin Gordon. Uh,
Okay.
Probably every Arizona running back, unless they draft unless they really grab someone like I can't remember his first name. Is it Travis or Trevor Etienne?
I think it's
Travis, I
Trevor.
believe. Is it?
I don't know.
But so is Trevor
LSU
Lawrence
running back,
and
right?
Trevor Etienne?
I don't
I
know.
don't think that's it. Anyways,
Who does he play for? Oh, Clemson. My bad.
yeah.
Anyway,
Let's move on to David Johnson here. This guy.
this guy.
The once great David Johnson. He got to that point in his career where he definitely lost a step, and he definitely isn't the talent that he used to be. He was really great there for what, a couple years in Arizona.
Absolutely.
Had some injury issues. He did miss a couple of games this year too. That's how you end up with less than 200 touches. But yeah, I mean, at one point too, like oh, forgive me, is it Duke Johnson? Yeah, Duke Johnson
Hmm.
was out, and David Johnson didn't really do much with Duke Johnson out of the way.
And then vice versa.
What another bad decision to trade for Duke Johnson by Bill O'Brien. Like, I don't get it. I don't get Bill O'Brien. That guy will never be. I don't. It'll be a long time before he is a head coach ever again in the NFL. Let's
And
put it
keep
that way.
him as far away from your front office as you can. Don't let him make
Uh,
personnel decisions
yeah, be
ever.
like, dude, you got to go in. You got to go in the side door.
Yep. Yep. Uh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't really have much to say about David Johnson. He is a perfectly capable guy to end up being your RB3 or RB4.
Yep. Especially
You
if he
know,
still gets to catch the ball a little bit. Yeah. The fact that he ended up at 22 is a testament to how talented he used to be. Let's just put it that way. You
yeah.
already hit the nail on the head. He's lost probably 2 steps, and again, he still has great
And just
hands,
for
and
a guy out of
he's a bigger body guy, so he can pass block and
he's
goal
a
line.
semi-local guy too. He's
Yeah.
from Clinton, Iowa.
There you go. That's about that around where my
Yeah,
wife
it's
is
Clinton.
from.
Yeah,
But
it's
so
real
we
close.
both love David Johnson, but obviously his best days are behind him.
Yeah, unfortunately. That's
Mhm.
okay. Hopefully he's made enough money and he'll retire and have a nice
I'd
long
absolutely. I'd love to see him continue to
fruitful
play a role,
post
kind of a
NFL life.
yeah. I'd love to see him continue to play a role like a third down back, goal line, hook on with a good team where he gets a chance to play for a playoff run. But probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's move on to our penultimate running back that we'll be talking about today. And this guy is weirdly
Nice
enough,
picture. Nice picture to
this
choose
is the
there.
best picture I could find of him that would actually like it would get
It,
blown up.
it is important to
Frankly.
mention he's a big dude. Like
He's like
he's,
6'2" or something, six
but
one,
he's
6'2".
also like you can see it there in his muscular frame. Like he's built bigger than a lot of
Who are you
wide
talking about?
receivers. Cordero.
Oh yeah, and that's who we're talking about here. We're talking
Sorry,
about
I
is
jumped
it is
ahead.
it Cordero or Cordadelle Patterson? I think it's Cordero
Yep.
Patterson. I
Yep.
was like when I was writing it out, I was like, I always thought it was Cordero, and then I'm like, or is it Cordero?
I have
Anyway,
it's practically sounds like you're saying the same thing, but obviously you're not.
this is solely based on special teams. Over 1,000 return yards and only one touchdown. But this is how he ended up as number 23.
Yep, that's 100 points right there.
That's pretty much it.
Hmm. Throwing a
You
couple
know, and
rushing attempts here and there, and there you have it.
yeah, he did some fill-in work to kind of spell David Montgomery. They threw him out in the field every once in a while to run some routes and everything.
Hmm.
He's a great, kind of utility running
Exactly.
back slash wide receiver. I know some formats have him listed as both. Some it's only running back.
And that's why he continues to latch on to teams. He's a great guy to have a locker room, is the impression I get, and he plays roles as your wide
And
receiver
yeah,
4 and your running back 3 and your special teams ace, and he makes tackles on special teams, I do believe also.
yeah. I mean, like you got a special teams guy that's going to get you 1,000 return yards. Like that's going to really help you.
He's
You
a
know
load to
that.
bring down, man, and he's always been fast.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
in terms of fantasy, obviously we explained why he's in this countdown. So
And this is the one true real exception in this
for
countdown
sure.
because it's mainly the special teams work. You're not gonna draft him any at high
Nope,
at all,
nope.
or if
He's
at
not.
all.
He's
If
he's
I'd
not
be
a
surprised
draftable
if he
player.
got if he what's that?
He's not a draftable player except in deeper leagues. Yeah.
And I mean, but even in a format like this where we're giving out points for special teams, you're not drafting a guy for that.
No, no, not
I mean, like
with
Devin
any valuable
Hester
pick.
back in the day,
They
yeah,
tried to make a receiver
he
out
was
of him.
yeah, he was a real cheat code in that respect of if your league gave out points for return yards, Devin Hester was like a top 10 wide receiver.
Well, he's catching 50 balls as a
Not even
receiver.
that many.
Yeah, I mean that's not much, but it's like you said, tack it on.
He also played for some real bad Bears teams. I
Yep,
mean, they
yep.
went to the Super Bowl with him, but yeah.
Yeah, he did. He absolutely did. Bad quarterbacks, as history goes with Chicago. Sorry.
Yeah, it is unprecedented of how bad they are at getting quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh
I mean,
man.
the best quarterback in history is Jim McMahon. No, I mean, well, that's not fair. We're not going back to the 40s. Sorry, guys. It's pretty
Uh,
sure. Don't put me to task, but I'm pretty sure.
Even Jim McMahon wasn't that great.
Otto
Let's move on
Graham.
to
Otto Graham.
should we should we move on to our last guy here?
Yeah, it's not Otto Graham. Spoiler alert.
Our last guy is J.K. Dobbins. This is a guy that I am really excited for next season. He's going to like DeAndre Swift, like probably Chris Carson, like Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds, a lot of guys on this half of the top 24 running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Dobbins is going to be in a timeshare, probably with Gus Edwards next year. Mark
I'm right there
Ingram,
with
they
you.
are going to the second the Ravens are bounced from. Oh wait, they were bounced from the playoffs.
They
I'm
were, yeah.
surprised. I'm surprised Mark Ingram hasn't been cut yet.
Right. His
No,
back's
seriously,
way.
like he's been a healthy scratch for like their last like 3 or 4 games
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true. It's
because they
true.
have Dobbins. They were keeping him on as depth in case Dobbins or Gus Edwards got hurt. He does Ingram
Mm-hmm.
that is doesn't
Mm-hmm.
play special teams, so they're like, fine, we're just
That's
you're
exactly
a
what it
healthy
comes down
scratch.
to. He can't play special teams. He's too. He's a vet. He either refuses to, or plus he's no good at it. Probably.
I think he's probably not very good, and I think he's a little too slow for it nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Exactly.
but J.K. Dobbins, I really like him. I like him more than Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards has a role, but I think the Ravens themselves, I think they spent a little draft capital on him. I think he was drafted in the third round. I should have looked this up first.
Sounds right.
Um,
Into second, maybe.
yeah, but I mean, top three in top 3 rounds that you're looking at, he's going to probably be a starter for you, or that you want him to be your starter. Um, and he just looked to get better as the season went along. The Ravens, like some of these other teams that we've talked about, need to kind of fix their offensive line in the offseason. I don't want to sound like a broken record on in that respect,
Mm-hmm.
but they lost one of their Pro Bowl offensive linemen. He retired this last offseason, I believe. Um, and Dobbins was still getting his quote unquote sea legs as far as running in the NFL. I don't know if he's uber talented like Zeke coming out of Ohio State, but he definitely does have talent, and he deserves a real long look this off season, and when you're doing your drafts next August, early September.
Mm-hmm.
What else you got to say about Mr.
I
Dobbins
think you
here?
touched on just about all of it. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think he's a talented dude. No, I don't
I
think
think
he's on
I think
Zeke's
I think
level
there's
or
a
what Zeke
I
was.
I think there's a clear path for him to get over 1,000 yards
Yeah,
next
and I
year.
think Gus should have a role, and I think we can. I
Yeah,
think they can kind of.
he's
I think they
definitely
can kind
deserved
of
it.
coexist too. Like, if Lamar's running well and throwing well enough,
Yeah,
it's hard to accommodate for that many weapons. In terms of
for
how they
sure.
run that offense. So Gus has been very efficient. That's what I like to see from him. Big chunks, goal line touchdowns. It's just kind of yes, I'd rather see it for Dobbins, but I won't. So Dobbins will get a little bit more receiving work, and he's a interesting guy to look at in terms of kind of a smaller guy and a new prototype of running back. I guess I'm trying to say. Yeah, I like him next year in fantasy.
Give me a couple names that aren't on this list that could maybe. Actually, you know what?
Honorable mention.
Let's start with guys that are on this list that maybe could crack the top 12 next year potentially.
So work way back up the list and kind of give you a name of some guys I think break into the top 12. Okay, well, Swift, we touched on him already.
Hmm. I think Gibson's one of them,
Yeah.
and I think that kind of about covers. Dobbins
Oh,
has
Gibson.
a
I'm
has a
sorry.
chance.
You said Gibson, and I heard it, and I thought of a different person. Yeah, Gibson and Swift for sure. Pollard is tough to say because we don't know
Um,
about Zeke, but
I think it would take a Zeke injury for that to happen.
exactly. I have to go. I have to move forward with that also. That's probably it.
Okay,
I like Edmonds, but I'm not going to be unrealistic here.
what are some non CMC Saquon Barkley names that could easily creep into the top 24 next season?
Gaskin, Miles Gaskin.
I disagree, but okay. Um, I got one for you, and this is cheating. Joe Mixon. I know I took
Hey
the low
y'all.
hanging. What?
Honorable mention is Gaskin. What did you say?
I said Joe Mixon.
Oh, Mixon for sure. He was, I wouldn't call him the low hanging fruit, but his name definitely crossed my mind. I kind of said, well, I'm going to leave that for Josh, but also he seems like a no brainer. I feel like most fantasy folks should expect him to be, know that he's a talented guy. If we could expect a healthy Burrow, sky's the limit as far as I'm concerned.
I'm trying to run through like all these teams in my head of like what like potential and everything, and that's I mean, as far as guys that are currently playing in the NFL, those are kind of just the names that those are about the only ones I can really think of, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, maybe if Aaron Jones went elsewhere and Jamal Williams stayed, maybe Jamal Williams cracks the top 24. Um, that's a pretty big if. I don't know what the Packers plan on doing with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, seeing as
That
how
would definitely send ripples through the fantasy world, but you're right. It could happen.
those are
Contracts.
two. And you got AJ Dillon on the cheap that you just drafted. He just spent his rookie season not doing
Mm-hmm.
much.
I doubt
Um,
it, but I agree with you that you have to keep an eye on these situations. Running backs are replaceable.
yeah.
I mean, only if you're talking about the
Other
top 3 or 5 can you be like, okay, they won't replace him.
I
Okay,
mean,
injury career or whatever.
another team to keep an eye on where they get what they do with running back would be like the Falcons, um, the Texans for sure, and that
Falcons for sure.
a lot of that depends on what the heck they do with Deshaun Watson, like we covered in the quarterback show.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I hope they drop everything that they're doing.
it is a hot mess there in Houston right now. A
Yeah.
hot mess.
I hope they drop everything they're doing, pay the man, and pay weapons for the man immediately.
Deshaun Watson's already gotten paid.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
He has his
My
contract,
bad.
and
Sorry.
it's a handsome one at that. It's like the me of contracts. Um, but that's handsome, by the way.
If
Uh, you were supposed to laugh at my joke.
I am laughing now.
No, you're not. I'm laughing
Chuckle,
at my
chuckle,
joke, and that's it.
chuckle, chuckle.
I'm just like the Jimmy Fallon of this podcast, of this
There you go.
show. I'm just laughing at my own jokes.
But no, I think those, should I say, situations and those names that you named are perfect examples of you just never know when the team is like, okay, suddenly your contract number is surpassed your value. I'm done. I can bring a rookie in and pay him next to nothing because I drafted him in the third, and 1,200 yards later, I've got a
Yeah,
Pro Bowler or something. It's. I'm not trying to disparage all running backs because, as we've established in this couple of running back shows, there's just guys that are just uber valuable that you kind of can't replace. But you start getting into this area, the
and
countdown and honorable mentions. Yeah,
they're 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 definitely worth the money that they've like. I mean, is there a guy that's not maybe in the top 5 of ADP next season that like don't deserve the big contract they have? Because they all have big contracts, except for Saquon, I
now they
guess.
do. I think. Yeah, except for Saquon, decently sized contract because he was like top 3, wasn't he? Number 3. I think he was number 3
Yeah,
overall.
but not the big
So,
payday.
but no, not yeah. That's a good point. They've all kind of been paid now, haven't they? With Cook, Montgomery's still on his rookie deal, but we're not talking about. Yeah. Anyway, Jones, we already touched on him. He's coming up. Jonathan Taylor just started. Chubb's 3 years in now.
I was talking about like CMC.
Yeah, they're all
has gotten
top
paid.
5
Kamara's
basically
gotten
have all
paid.
been paid,
Dalvin
yeah.
Cook's gotten paid. Derrick Henry's gotten paid. You know,
Zeke was top 5, at one point. He'd
yep,
gotten paid.
Zeke's been paid
Mhm.
foolishly, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I don't know. It was a really big contract. I was like, I don't know about that.
I
Why didn't
hated
you
it.
just give that money to Dak and just
Just
be
call it a
like, all right,
day. Let Zeke
yeah.
play on his rookie deal, and if he holds out, fine. I honestly
Especially with that holdout, I was just like, "Oh, you're gonna hold out? You're not gonna." Okay, be like, "Okay, A, I'm going to sue you for breach of contract, and B, you're not gonna be
mhm.
playing with this team anymore because you can't even finish out the contract that your rookie contract that you signed."
Coming fresh off suspension, let us not forget. Fresh off of it. Fighting it
Well,
all year long. Anyway, this isn't
uh,
the Cowboys Zeke show.
that's okay. He had gotten suspended the year before, yes, but that was at the very beginning of the season. He wasn't just fresh off of a suspension. He was fresh off of a season in which he's missed 6 games with suspension.
Fair.
I don't know. It sounds more accurate that way. Sorry, I'm guess I'm splitting hairs.
Sorry about that. Fair.
I don't know. Whatever. So, yeah, so I don't know. What else do you wanna say about some running backs here? I
That's
like
the
I
only
s like
honorable
I
mentions I have. You really kind of cleaned the floor with those situations you named. I thought you did a good job there. I guess I could expound on Gaskin a little bit. He was 24th by PFF and running back. This is a limited time. Remember, he missed a big chunk. 12th in receiving. That's good to
Yeah,
see. I just think you'd see him on the field a lot because they do run a bit of a up tempo.
for
If we can
sure.
see a year of growth from Tua, I think it only increases Gaskin's value. I don't think his value can go down at this point. I think Tua can only get a little bit better.
The only thing that I think of with Gaskin is, A, he's not uber talented and to the point where they could easily find someone more talented, and they might, and they're just like, "Whatever. We got this guy now. Gaskin, good job. Take a seat."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, it's possible with especially with running backs, it's definitely
I
possible.
mean, it's hard not to lump them in that group we just talked about, and that's exactly I'm the one who's pounding that nail that these guys are replaceable. So I can't fault anybody for throwing Gaskin in there. I think a little more highly of him. I think sometimes there's something to be said for a guy you pan picked, and he was a rookie, so you know
Was he?
I think
Oh, yeah.
so.
Of course he was.
So cheap contract,
Sorry.
run him into the ground type of thing. But a smaller guy, so we got to keep an eye on injury.
Alright,
I like him.
cool. So next week or yeah, next week, we
Hmm.
will be doing, the top 12 wide receivers. Spoiler alert, Devontae Adams is number 1. Um, and the week after that, we will be doing the wide receivers 13 through 24. I'm sure that'll get just as interesting as these running backs have been, if not more so. And then after that, we'll do an ugly tight end show because tight ends are like those Christmas sweaters, and they after, you get some really sweet ones, and then
Yeah.
the rest of them are just hideous.
Well, we've done a good job hitting right around an hour on our shows. So I think on the tight end show, we'll think of some other quick segments and discussion points to talk about because Josh is right. There's only kind of a really less than a handful to kind of expound upon, split some hairs on, and then just say the rest of them are just a guy because that's kind of what they have been every single year.
Yep. And then we'll probably think of some other shows to do. Maybe it would be nice to try and keep this at once a week, but we might take a break
Hmm.
pre or post draft. We'll see. We'll see how long we can keep content rolling because there is a definite lull in the NFL off season, and it would be nice to just kind of take a break and whatever and recharge our batteries.
Hey, you're
And
back. Oh,
yeah,
you're gone
you
again.
dropped. Oh, you dropped from me too.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, we'll wrap it up.
all right. Well, that's been running backs and everyone. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, and if you're not, and if you are not, and you're listening to the podcast, you can check us out on YouTube at Amazing Fantasy Football. If you're listening to it in podcast format, you can check us out on YouTube. If you didn't figure that out already from what I just said. You can email us at amazingffb@gmail.com. That would be to give us some critiques if what you like or don't like about the show, We are just getting started, as this is episode what, 4, 3, 4. I can't even. We're so low. I can't even keep track of the number.
Two running
Um,
backs and a quarterback. Oh, and the four.
Yep,
Four.
we're at episode 4. So just yeah, give us some critiques. Obviously, we have some internet problems every once in a while because
Eh,
we are in different states.
yes.
So yeah, but you can email us also to join the Discord community that we have set up to, do just some general chat, some fantasy football chat. Chris, what did you want to plug?
Oh, yeah. If you guys are into gaming PCs, PC hardware, and tech in general, I am part of Hardware Dynasty YouTube channel. So just find me Hardware Dynasty, just like it sounds. Hardware, one word, Dynasty, one word. And twitch.tv/Hardware Dynasty. Just filled it and ended up having a great live build Friday night, and everybody had a great time.
Well, it was over a week ago, so you know.
Hmm.
Um but I was there. I was there in the chat, and I was having a good time with all the other guys that were in the chat. Some of them are in our Discord community for this, not all, but some were. And yeah, it's just I don't know. I was having some drinks, and it was a Friday night, and it was just like in a pandemic sort of world. Oh, there I go again.
Yep.
Um, in a pandemic sort of world, it was nice to just kind of hang out and have some drinks with people.
It was definitely all about community and being social there.
Yeah, and watching Chris build, you get this fine, like, hour-long shot of a dust screen, which we
We're
all made fun of him for.
Yeah, right. I guess I work vertically more than I thought. Anyway,
Anyways, so thank you for listening. We will have another show next Sunday and the following few Sundays after that as well for the time being. Uh, I guess have a good day, everyone.
later, everybody.